I'm here with Steve from the Argonotes.
Hey!
First question I have for you, Steve. Give us brief history on how the Argonotes came about and how important it is for the Argos to actually be in the Grey Cup this year.
Well, we've had a band for 15 years playing at all the Argo games. We're really excited to finally have a Grey Cup here in Toronto with the Argos in the game. All the beautiful fans of the city. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it.
The event we're at right now is the recreation of the Mud Bowl, 1950. Quickly just talk about that. I know that you guys are going to be going out to the stage pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a fantastic recreation of a very muddy game from a long time ago. The fire department has done a fabulous job of watering the field to get it exactly right. I can't wait to see the poor schmucks who have to play.
And lastly, what are some words that you want to share with everyone that is upcoming that, not only playing instruments, but also going into sports themselves?
It's a lot of fun being an Argo fan. It's a great time to be an Argo fan. I can't believe how lucky we are that it's all happening here in our hometown. Go Argos, go.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks, Reg. Pleasure to talk to you. Enjoy the week.
I'm here with a gentleman who played in the 1950 Mud Bowl here in Toronto, Nick Volpe. Nick, the first question I have to ask you, take you back to 1950. Night before the game, they send in the bulldozer to clean off the field with about 4 to 5 inches of snow that was on it. They took the gigantic gouges in the field. Next day it was raining, snow turned into rain. What was it like when you first stepped foot on that field?
Well, it was like stepping on a sponge. I mean, you couldn't get any traction at all. There had to be at least 6 inches of mud, and the balls got covered in mud so that they were like a piece of soap. So we really couldn't catch the balls. And I don't know, maybe you've heard that Al Dechterman put thumbtacks on his fingers so that he could handle the ball. And Indian Jack Jacobs for Winnipeg, he was having trouble with the ball, and the officials got suspicious, and they saw that Al had thumbtacks, so they made him take them off at halftime.
And also back then, there was only 28 to 30 people playing on CFL team. What was it like with that, having to play like an Ironman game?
It was great. You rarely came off the field. I was a defensive backup quarterback, kicked field goals and extra points, and I was a punt returner. And so you were on and off the field constantly. And it was really exciting, it was fun, and it was more enjoyable than sitting on the bench, that's for sure.
And also I heard that you actually wore one of those rubber girdies one time because you had some cracked ribs. Can you talk briefly what it was like to play with that?
Well, the girdle gave you a little bit of protection, but every time I got tackled with 2 cracked ribs, it was like somebody sticking a knife in me, and it was tough. But in those days, you didn't give it a second thought. You just played.
And you have been involved with the Toronto Argonauts organization for many years. I think you retired in 53. Could you tell us briefly about the different colorful characters involved with the Toronto Argonauts? We're talking John Candy, Doug Flutie, and the list goes on and on.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, I was a player from 49 to 53, as you mentioned. And then in 53, I was coaching Balmy Beach, which was Argo's farm club. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And then after that, I scouted for Frank Clare, and he was head coach of Ottawa. So I was scouting. And then I was coaching junior football. I always coached high school football while I was playing. And then I got on radio and TV, and I was doing isolation for 15 years. And then when I retired in 88, I went back with Argos, and I started full-time, and I became personnel director, and I've been with them ever since.
And also you did 39 years of teaching through that time too.
That's correct. From 49 to 88.
If you, what is the biggest thing that sticks out in your mind right now, the kind of message that you want to leave with the up-and-coming youth?
Up-and-coming youth?
Well, the people just starting, let's say the people just starting football or any other sport, people that want to go for their dream.
Well, there's one thing about football. You don't play it alone. You have to rely on your other players. And so it's a great sport because you're involved with so many people. It's an enjoyable game. It's not nearly as rough as it seems, but I would say for every young fella that is capable, he should give it a try.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I'm here with Chris Rudge, the Executive CEO of the Toronto Argonauts and also the Executive CEO of the Festival of the Grey Cup. First question I have to ask you there, Chris, how important is this recreation of the Mud Bowl that happened in 1950 that we're at this time in Toronto?
Well, it's terrific. A big part of what we're doing this entire week is to honor the legacies of the CFL and the Grey Cup. It goes back, over 100 years, and many unique events have occurred. It's not, our Grey Cup games are not just about great passes and catches, but some of the uniquely human experiences we've had. And playing the Mud Bowl in 1950, when they couldn't control the environment they're in, something people always talk about. We thought that we would try and honor a lot of those traditions through this week during this 100th anniversary of the Grey Cup.
Yeah, and you don't have enough dry ice, I heard, to create the Fog Bowl at the same time.
Well, we thought about ways of doing that, but that's a pretty big area to create with fog. But there are a lot of those kinds of events have been part of our history for sure.
What about the Toronto actually being the oldest professional team in North America, and the fact that you've won 15 Grey Cups already?
Well, that's terrific, and we've hosted something like 40 to 42 in Toronto over the 100 years, and the first game was played at Rosedale Park, over 100 years ago. So it's great that we're having a 100th anniversary here in Toronto, and a real bonus that the Argonauts got into the final game. That's something the guys had to win in the field. We couldn't orchestrate that, but my gosh, in my wildest dreams, I would never have imagined that could happen.
Well, I know this year we're celebrating the 100 years of the Grey Cup. 1909 was the year that when the Governor General Earl Grey gave the Grey Cup to the league. At the same time, they took time off for World War I. Could you talk a little bit about that, how the Grey Cup came about, and the fact that the CFL took over? I think it was 58 when the CFL turned into the Canadian Football League?
Well, they had a couple. There was the Ontario Rugby Football Union, and I think the Canadian Football Union. They came together, and eventually the CFL was created in those latter years. As you know, there was a break in the war years, but there's a long relationship between the CFL, the Grey Cup, and the various teams, and the military in Canada. There are 2 or 3 military teams have won the Grey Cup in the past. Jake Goddard, of course, came out of that, and he was the greatest commissioner that we ever had. And even this week, we have a fantastic partnership with the Department of National Defence. An obstacle course they built for us down in Nathan Phillips Square, our adrenaline zone. You're going to see some fly pass and Department of National Defence in most of our activation areas. So a great history between the military and this great tradition in this country.
And quickly talk about some colorful characters, not only owners like John Candy, but some people that played for the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, Doug Flutie, Pinball Clemens, and the list goes on and on.
It does, and one of the signature film series that CTV is doing is around the 1971 Argonauts. There was an entire team full of characters. They're often thought of as bad boys. Guys like Mel Prophet, Joe Theismann was on that team, Tricky Dicky Thornton, and on and on. So there have been a lot of real characters in this league, and I think one of the things that's made it that way is that historically the CFL didn't have the kind of money where guys could only play football. They had a lot of other different careers as well, which probably precipitated attracting many different kinds of people into the organizations.
And where can we see the CFL go in years to come, let's say?
I think we're going to continue to build as it becomes financially stronger. With the television revenues that are available now are higher than they have been in the past. The stadia that we're building throughout the league now are bigger, accommodate more fans. It's still a ticket-driven league. So I think as the economics continue to grow, we'll be able to put more resources into the CFL, and it'll continue to grow.
And also the importance of the Rona being the sponsors of the CFL. How important is that?
Well, we can't do a lot of the things we do without our corporate partners. Rona have been great across the country, been a strong supporter for a long time. They were big supporters of the train that just went across the country, and they're a big partner in this project where after this game we're going to re-sod this field, build new stands, new goalposts for this school that's just restarting its football program.
Well, apparently also that's happening the 7 other CFL teams at the same time that Rona is going to be sponsoring too throughout Canada. One question I always like to ask people when I get a chance to talk to them, what is the one person in your life that inspired you, and what kind of message did they leave with you that you still carry to this very moment in your life?
Oh my gosh, I think all of us are inspired by so many people, and your parents are always at the top of that list. In my sport career, I'm not sure. There are many people I've been around and worked with and played with, coaches, etc. I was a professional lacrosse player myself, and a guy named Jim Bishop was big in that world when I was young and was a big inspiration. So I'm not sure there's any one person. I guess maybe in the athlete world of people that I've seen, I always admire athletes that achieve at a high level and handle it with great dignity and humility. And I was always a great fan of Arthur Ashe, the great American tennis player. So maybe I put him very high on the list.
And how important is it to actually have the Argos team in this Grey Cup here in Toronto?
Well, for this community where we're rebuilding the brand, to have them in this game, to have the game itself here in Toronto, I think it's absolutely outstanding.
And finally, what kind of inspirational message do you want to leave with the youth that are up and coming and people that want to follow their dream?
Well, I think that, I come from the Olympic world before I got involved with this, and having dreams and visions is important, but I think having those dreams in the context of your abilities, maximizing what you're capable of doing no matter what you are, where you are, who you are, be the very best that you can be. And if you do that, you'll have a very successful life.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
I'm here with the retired CFL quarterback, Damien Allen, who played for the BC Lions, Edmonton, Ottawa, Toronto. Also, you played for Memphis, too. First question I have to ask you, Damien, what is the biggest moment in your life looking back over your CFL career?
Well, the biggest moments in my career has to be, winning those 4 Grey Cups. But also a special moment is winning the most outstanding player in the league, being the oldest player in professional sports to win an MVP. So I'm still very proud of that. And, making it to the Hall of Fame is really nice, too.
And, looking at right now, we just did a recreation of the Mud Bowl of 1950. This field here is going to be refurbished by Rona and the Toronto Argonauts organization. How important do you think it is for Rona to get involved with CFL cities throughout Canada and to refurbish different fields to help out the community?
Well, Rona is a league sponsor, and they, over the number of years, they've been supported the league, and what a great initiative to be able to, a legacy initiative to give back to schools, to create football back in these schools, and to recreate a game which is so historic, and it's part of the 100 years history of the CFL has, and to build. And after this event is all over, which is heavily supported, after this event is over, to have a new field, should bring that level of excitement and rejuve this not only football here at the school, but my hope is across Canada.
And also with the Toronto Argonauts being in the 100th Grey Cup, how important do you think that is to the city of Toronto?
Oh, your Grey Cup has been really good so far, but the fact that the Argos are in it, it makes it amazing.
And looking back at your life, who's the one person that left an inspirational message in life? What was left that you're looking back right now?
An inspirational message. I have a lot of great people that have inspired me to play. But first and foremost, it has to be my family, my kids, and my mom and dad. The A-team family is ultimately my greatest inspiration.
And what kind of message you want to leave with people that are starting out in sports right now or following their own dream?
Believe in themselves, put in the necessary work, and go out there and do it, just like the Nike sign say, just do it.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Go, Toronto Argos, go, go, go. Go together, fight the foe.
I'm here at the recreation of the 1950 Mud Bowl in Toronto, the Grey Cup. I'm here with the marketing manager for Ontario, Andrew Fraser. Andrew, how important is it for Rona that you work for to get involved with the CFL?
Oh, it's incredibly important. It's an avenue for us to give back to the communities in partnership with the communities. Rona is a big supporter of sports and youth, so to be connected with the CFL, a great Canadian company, connected with a great Canadian sport, it just lends itself to work with youth and to give back to communities.
Well, first thing I want you to talk about is the Grey Cup train itself that went across Canada. I know Rona sponsored that.
Yeah, we did. We had a hand in that, but the real big kudos for the train have to go to VIA and at the CFL. But certainly Rona was there with some of our branding because we are league-wide sponsors of all 8 teams.
And also, I know with here in Toronto that you're going to be refurbishing this the Mud Bowl recreation here at, I think it's W.A. Porter. How about the other 7 cities in the CFL? Where exactly are you going to be refurbishing fields there?
Well, this is actually the last field of the 8 that were done across Canada as part of the Home Field Advantage program, which was built between the CFL and Rona. So in this particular case, Rona is donating $30,000 worth of materials, and our total investment for the 8 teams is $240,000. In this particular case, we're going to be, the mud you see behind you is actually going to be intermixed with grass seed. They're going to spread it out so it's a little nicer next year to fill in some of the potholes created, but we're also going to be building bleachers, fixing the goalposts, and if there's enough money left over, we're even going to put up a scoreboard for the WA Collegiate Blue Eagles.
And you know, with Toronto actually being a part of this 100-year celebration of the Grey Cup, you know, what is your thoughts on the Argos actually participating in this game?
Oh, well, not that I can pick favorites, but I would certainly hope that the Argos pull it off. Being league-wide partners, I'm not supposed to show any favoritism, but living and working here in the GTA, I would certainly have to say that I'm cheering for the Argos in this particular case.
And finally, you know, what are some of the messages that you feel that not only Rona wants to leave with people throughout Canada, but you yourself as you're working with Rona?
Well, I think the real message here is that it's about youth, and it's about youth programs and giving youth physical education and the ability to shoot for their dreams. I mean, Rona is always working with youth programs in various formats across the country. And this is just an extension of that ability to refurbish fields, to give youth a safe place to play and to develop their skills. It's just, again, it's a way to give back to the communities.
And finally, what is some inspirational messages that you feel that have been left in your life by individuals that you've had throughout your life path?
Oh, there have been so many. It's difficult to pick just one, but I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick my father, and he always says, we learn everything by trying something, we learn nothing by doing nothing.
Well, thank you so much. In closing, I just want to say to people that, Gandhi says it best, be the change you want to see in the world, and that's so extremely important. Thank you so much for your time there, Andrew.
Very welcome. My pleasure.